In this video, we will teach you how to write a UMESHMOTION subroutine in Abaqus using Fortran for analyzing where problems, step by step. UMESHMOTION is one of Abaqus subroutines that allows us to apply constraints to the mesh motion, helping overcome Abaqus's limitations in solving many problems, including where. It's worth mentioning that this is a simple example, and its main goal is to familiarize you with how to write the UMESHMOTION subroutine. The code file written in this video is available for free on our GitHub page, with the link provided in the video description, so you can download it. Let us start by discussing how to write the UMESHMOTION code for a simple where problem. Additionally, if you're interested, we have a video-based educational package that covers the complete parameters of this subroutine, how to use them, and various problems in Abaqus using UMESHMOTION. This package also includes all the Abaqus modeling files and the Fortran code for the UMESHMOTION subroutine. The link to the package is also in the video description. A demo of the package can be found in the video above. Now let's go step by step through the code. First, as you can see, we need to copy the interface code from the Abaqus documentation and paste it into our code file. Then, we modify the code and write what we need. The code starts with a header, which we leave unchanged according to the documentation. The rest is the user code that we wrote and will explain in detail in the video. After that, the subroutine concludes and returns the necessary values to Abaqus. Next, let's talk about how we wrote the user code. First, we need to store a list of elements connected to each node. To do this, we referred to the Abaqus documentation, and as shown, we need to use the utility routine getNode2elemcon to automatically meet our requirements. We copied the example code from the Abaqus documentation and added it to our own code. As you can see, the first parameter we define here is the maximum number of elements connected to each node, which we set to 100 in the code. This parameter is used to determine the maximum size of arrays, and it's the maximum value. There's no need for the actual number of elements to reach this number. After that, we define the array GELMList, whose size equals the maximum number of elements. This array stores the element numbers connected to each node. Then, we define the array GELMType, which stores the type of the element corresponding to each element number in GELMList. According to the documentation, nilims is the size of the arrays GELMList and GELMType, which we set to the maximum number of elements. Finally, as stated in the documentation, we call the utility routine getNode2elemcon. This routine returns the first output, GELMList, which stores the element numbers connected to each node. GELMType is the second output, which stores the types of elements connected to each node, corresponding to the element numbers in GELMList. nilims gives the actual size of the arrays, and JRCD returns 1 if there's an error, or 0 if there's no error. In the next step, we need a tool to retrieve the node or element number from the local numbering system of the part and obtain the corresponding global number. For this, we use the utility routine getPartInfo as mentioned in the Abaqus documentation. As seen in the documentation, we first define the part name and then call getPartInfo. We copy this code and paste it into our subroutine. To tell Abaqus that we want the node number instead of the element, we set JType to 0. If we were referring to an element, we would set JType to 1. Finally, by leaving CPName empty, we let Abaqus know that the node or element is in the assembly, not the part. When calling getPartInfo, JRCD will return 1 or 0, indicating whether there was an error or not, and intNum will give the global number corresponding to the local node or element number, LOCNum. Next, we need to get the average material properties at each node. For this, we use the utility routine getVrmAVVGatNode, as stated in the Abaqus documentation. As mentioned, we must first define an array and then call the utility routine. The size of GELMList, which we had defined earlier, doesn't need to be redefined at this point. We define a large size for the array to accommodate all outputs, but usually a smaller number based on the problem's conditions will suffice. Finally, we call the utility routine, requesting the output parameter cstress, which we need. To understand what cstress is, we look into the Abaqus documentation, where it describes the parameters for surface variables including compressive and shear stresses. These values will be stored in the array. Additionally, any processing or storage errors will be reported via the parameter JRCD. Next, for the where problem, we need the pressure and nodal ablation velocity. The pressure is stored in the first element of the array under the pressure parameter. The nodal ablation velocity for the where problem is defined as pressure multiplied by URF, where URF is the wear coefficient set by the user. It is defined within the adaptive mesh constraint, and we have defined its value here. In the final part, we compute the only parameter we need for the subroutine, which is ulocal. This is calculated as the last stored value of ulocal minus Local multiplied by the nodal ablation velocity. Local represents the local coordinates of the point along the tangent direction of the adaptive mesh domain. And here, the code comes to an end. Congratulations! By watching this video, you are now able to write your first UMESHMOTION subroutine in Fortran. If you'd like to get the subroutine file we wrote, you can download it from our GitHub page. I also recommend checking out the complete package available on our website to master the UMESHMOTION subroutine, as it provides a wealth of valuable information.